I'm Antwanette Weaver. I'm the executive director and co-founder of A Bold Story Never Ends.
What inspired you to create the organization?
We were inspired to create the organization after the loss of my son Cameron to suicide. We lost him July 13th, 2020, and we were just looking for a way to turn our story into purpose, but also just to try to start an initiative to support other families who were going through similar things and hopefully to prevent others from experiencing our story.
Can you tell me a little bit about your son?
Yes, at the time of his death, Cameron was 29 years old. He was a probation officer. He had obtained both his bachelor's and master's degree from college. We thought he was kind of like in the prime of his life. He started his career, but he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease his senior year in high school, and so he had some significant health challenges. And with the medications that he was taking, there were some concerns that he may not be able to have a family, that he could potentially develop cancer because of some of the treatments, and so that did take a huge toll on him. And just as a young man, having to kind of limit some of the things that he had to do, that he was able to do physically, as well as some of his social things. And so he struggled on and off with depression after that point, but we thought everything was under control. Of course, that was around the time that COVID came in. And so he was in Huntsville. And so he was kind of in isolation um, with that. And so, there were some worries because he had just had a recent breakup and, things of that nature. He was not completely happy on his job. And so he was contemplating some career changes, but he had registered to go back to school. So we thought, we were on a good path. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
So, what are some of the things you do uh, for the organization?
With the organization, our primary goal is awareness, to tell our story, as I said again, to hopefully prevent other families from going through that. And then also just kind of helping destigmatize mental health, and also the need to talk about it. In addition to being Cameron's mom, I'm also a licensed therapist. And so that was also a hard hit to think that as a therapist, as a professional, I didn't see this coming. And so I just want to just kind of just be the face for those parents who don't have my educational background and in my career path, to know that, even if I couldn't see that it was happening, that hopefully they can relinquish some of the shame and guilt attached, by being, the parents of someone who's lost their child and not seeing that come. And so, and the goal is to just make those conversations more readily available so that we can talk, and so that we don't have the stigma associated with reaching out for help and getting the necessary resources to make our lives better in general.
How does helping others help your own healing process?
I think it definitely gives purpose. Cameron was a big advocate for education, but he was also always helping and mentoring others. And so I think that it allows me the opportunity to continue his work, but also to continue, like you said, my healing, because I'm able to openly discuss. Because I think being able to talk about it truly helps. The first year or so, I didn't share how we lost Cameron, and I always felt like I was trapped in the story, and I wanted to kind of take my power back and be able to tell my version of his story, of my story. And so that allowed some freedom, to be able to speak our truth, and to motivate the purpose behind everything. Because I'm a true believer that everything happens for a reason, and I just couldn't let what happened with Cameron just go without turning it into some type of purpose. So it's really allowed me to, like I said, to share, to voice my concerns, but also to recognize when I'm not at my best, to kind of, to get to seek the help that I need in addition to helping others.
Yeah, for you, how important is it to have a strong support system?
Oh, it's detrimental. I don't think I would be able to do what I'm doing without that because, as I said, as a therapist, that's what I do all day long. I work with individuals who are struggling, and then I come home and then I dedicate another, 3, sometimes 4 hours a day to a bold story never ends. So there's really no separation from with mental health and working with individuals that are struggling. And so it's important for the people, for me to have the people around me to remind me to take a break, to focus on myself and to make sure that I'm engaging in self-care so that I can still be able to do the work that I'm doing.
And with the organization, you have a lot of people helping you. How does it feel to have people believe in your mission and help you?
It's amazing because, like I said, my driving force was my love for Cameron and the need to share our story. But to know that people care enough about both myself and for him to donate their time and their efforts, because right now we're strictly volunteer basis. There's
Yeah.
no one on our team getting a salary. So for people to donate endless hours of their time and their resources to extend our cause, it really touches my heart, and I'm so appreciative of everyone on my team. It started out with just myself, my daughter, and my sister, and now we have close to 20 volunteers that
Wow.
work on a consistent basis to help extend our mission. So I'm truly I know that that's a great privilege, and I don't take that lightly.
How did you come up with the name?
Well, like I said, Cameron was a very bold individual. He was always living his life to the max, and so we were like, we have to include that in the name somehow. And I was talking it over with my sister and my daughter. Again, we're all the founders of the organization, and it was actually my daughter's idea. And she was like, the point in this is to extend his story and because it can't end, it can't, that can't just
Yeah.
be the end, that he took his life to suicide. It has to be more. And so it just came to her, and so we ran with it.
What do you do to help your own mental health?
Honestly, I have to kind of do a better job of that. This Cameron's birthday is December 5th, and so Christmas was also his favorite holiday. So between Thanksgiving and Christmas is usually a tough time for me in general, but I noticed this year it was extremely tough. We had two big events, huge events in October and November, and so I was on go for those 2 months, and I didn't engage in that self care. So it really hit last week, and so I've had to really kind of reprioritize, and again through the help of my family and my friends, that reminder of I can't be if I'm not okay, I can't do the work that I need to do. And so I'm learning to really just take the time. Last week on his birthday, I took the day off, and I, treated myself to a massage, and I scheduled a therapy appointment because I think that's also important for
Yeah.
me to meet with my therapist and continue my grief therapy as well. And so like I said, massages are my things, spas, massages, water. So any opportunity that I get to schedule a weekend getaway and to just go sit by the water and regroup are some things that I do. Also, I turned 50 this year, and so my goal for myself was to schedule 50 things for me throughout the year. And so I've been very intentional about doing things like that. Like I was an avid reader, but through my grief journey, I've struggled with my attention span and being able to read and focus. And so one of my goals is to read at least 5 books this year, books just simply for entertainment and not,
Right.
learning or related to what I do for work. So
What
those are a few of the things that I'm doing.
What would you say to anyone going through a tough time?
I would say definitely don't hesitate to one, reach out to talk to someone if you need it. Two, to prioritize what you're feeling. because as I stated, sometimes I'm great and I'm able to get out and do everything that I need to do, but sometimes I need to recognize that I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm, frustrated, and to just really, I need to sit in that. I need to feel that. I need to give those emotions space so that I can properly address them so that they don't start to linger and take over. So that would be my advice to anyone else. Just allow yourself to feel what you feel. That it's okay to say no. I think people have good intentions and they want to encourage you to get out and have a good time, or to push you out of your depression or your sadness. But I think it's okay for you to recognize when that's not okay for you, and you should be able to say that. But also being willing to say yes. I do know that sometimes when we're struggling or we're going through things, there could be some shame or guilt attached to saying yes, because you're like, my loved one isn't here anymore. It's not okay for me to have fun, or it's not okay for me to enjoy life. So I really would like to encourage them that, it's okay for you to still live your life. You're still here. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to be happy. And so say no when you need to, but also say yes when it's appropriate.
You said earlier about you had some big events in October and November. What
Mhm.
what are those?
Okay. Usually, annually, we do a mental health awareness event for the community. However, this year we partnered with one of the area schools because they wanted to do a mental health event for their students and parents. And so we partnered with them. They hosted the event there on the campus, and we just kind of provided resources, and we did. The organizational piece. And so we had vendors come out to provide resources about all types of wellness things, from uh, therapy services to psychiatric services, but also um, diabetes services, because we know that it all plays together. It's not just the mental health, it's the physical health as well. And then also resources like childcare and things of that nature, because we also know that can bring on some mental health struggles when you don't have those sort of resources available. So, and then while the adults were engaging in those activities outside, we had games for the kids to keep them entertained, face painting and things like that. So that's something we do every year, but this was the first year that we did it in conjunction with the school. We usually it started off as a celebration for Cameron's birthday, because one of his last requests of our family was to do a 5K. So we started doing a walk every year in December for his birthday. And so we also partnered with a Chick-fil-A in the area. And so the owner, Mr. Tony Levine, he's amazing. And he told us if we do this event free for the community, that he would provide meals
Oh,
for every family that participated. So this year he provided over 175 meals for the community to engage in this activity. So we had that in October, and then in November we were celebrating our second. We called it our birthday. Our second birthday was November 16th, and so we had an event called Unmasking Mental Health. It was a masquerade mixer, and so yeah, so we had a good time just celebrating, all of the with all of our sponsors, with all of our volunteers, just a night to come out and have food and dance and just applaud our efforts for the year.
for me, I live with bipolar disorder too, and I wasn't diagnosed until I was 37. So, and you were talking about working with a school with kids. How important is it for kids to understand mental health to hopefully whittle down the stigma?
I think it's extremely important, because we know that usually as adults we have fixed mindsets, or it's very difficult for us to change our mindsets. And so if we get students to start talking about mental health, and they understand that it's okay, that we're all different, that we all, at some point in our lives, most of us will experience some type of um, adverse mental health concerns, whether it's depression, sadness, grief, or what have you. And so once we start to make that commonplace and we start having those conversations, it'll be more likely that they will reach out for help and that they'll encourage their friends and their families to reach out and help for help as well. And then, like you said, also it's important that they have that early intervention. I'm sure that you would have loved to get, that assistance prior to
Oh yeah.
37, and it probably would have made huge changes in your life. So I think it's imperative that we start talking about mental health and that we look into resources and treatment and interventions as soon as we can.
Where do you want to see your organization in the next 3 to 5 years?
I would love to have a bold story to be a just a name that's common to everyone. That it's where we have locations throughout the US where we can branch out and so that we can continue to grow and bring resources to more and more individuals. I'm also learning the importance of the collaborations and the connections and joining in with other organizations who do similar work. So I would love to be able to, one, for this to be my full-time job. Like I said, now I still do work full time. And so if I was able to pour 100% of my time into this and growing the organization and just providing those resources, because I look back at what we have accomplished in the 2 years, but I know that if we could just dive in and if we had full-time employees, if we had adequate funding, I know that there's so much more that we could do. In the first Even before we founded the organization, we our first initiative was a scholarship fund for students graduating from high school who'd overcome some type of obstacle. And so, over since 2020, I'm sorry, 2021, we've given five scholarships to graduating seniors. And so I would love for that to be five or more scholarships, 5 to 10 scholarships a year, to be able to provide to students. We've also worked with some individuals who didn't have the resources to pay for their therapy. So I would love for everyone to reach out that needed therapy services, that I was able to connect them and ensure that they had long-term treatment. So those are, a few of our goals. We also have an initiative through it's a fatherhood initiative, and so we I definitely have a passion for men's mental health, just because again that's part of the reason why I lost my child. But I also know that when you that one, there's a greater stigma with men in mental health and sometimes their willingness to connect with resources. And I truly believe that if we're able to reduce that and get them to reach out and improve their mental health, then it will by default just trickle down to the entire family unit. And so that, that they are able to um, show up for their spouses and loved ones and their children, and also educate them and help them to get the services or the treatments that they need as well. So that's a huge focus for us. We really want to grow that component of the organization.
How can people reach out and learn more?
We have a website, www a bold story never ends.org. We can also be reached by email. All of our email addresses are on that. We have admin at a boldstoryneverends.org is one of the main, but we also have, if you go on there, different individuals who are over different parts of the organization where you can reach out to them specifically, like with marketing or funding questions. If we're really focusing on trying to develop our donors and sponsorships this year, packages, like I said, so that we can actually do more initiatives. So all of that information can be located on our website. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. So we have a few videos uploaded to our YouTube. A Bold Story never ends. I go into sharing my story. We're also in the works of starting a podcast called Bold Discussions. And so we launched our first episode last month, where both myself, My daughter and my sister were talking about loving after hurt. So it touches on loving after going through the grief journey and just generally, all types of hurt from trauma to relationships ending because I am divorced and my daughter speaks on the absence of her relationship with her father and with Cameron. And so we're trying to dive into those difficult topics so that others that are who are walking a similar journey have that as a resource as well.